Hi, so today I'm going to talk about dry hair and some solutions. And first I'm going to cover why do we have dry hair, how do we get it. Well, you have to understand how your hair looks. If you look at your hair under a microscope, it's kind of like a rope that has these little shingles on it. And when our hair is healthy and well nutritioned and has a lot of moisture in it, those shingles are closed and your hair is smooth, so it reflects a lot of light and it's very strong. It makes it look shiny, too shiny and heavy. When our hair is dry or malnutritioned or brittle from over dyeing or over drying, those little shingles kind of open up and prevent your hair from keeping in moisture and nutrition, and they kind of make your hair hollow, like imagine a sponge. And when the sponge is brand new, the little pores are tiny and it absorbs a lot of water. But when the sponge gets older, because it gets used, the little pores become bigger, it becomes brittle, it rips, and that's kind of what happens to your hair if you don't treat it well. And so what are some things that cause your hair to become so brittle and make those shingles open up? Well, number one cause I would probably have to say is hair dyes and straighteners and curlers. So when you dye your hair, the ammonia in your hair dye really eats away at your hair and it opens up those follicles. That's why when you dye your hair it feels thicker. It is because those follicles open up and the hair dye kind of gets underneath. But when the hair dye gets underneath those follicles, moisture and nutrients can't. So they're kind of blocked off and your hair becomes brittle and dry because those follicles, they only open up more and more and more because the hair dye is kind of like it's wedged in between, so it pushes in and the hair kind of opens up more and starts to look craptacular. And then and the more you dye it, the worse it gets. And the ammonia kind of eats away at it and makes it brittle, kind of makes it porous. Another thing is heat. When you heat your hair too much, it becomes brittle because the heat dries it out. And when your hair is very, very dry, it needs moisture. When it's very, very dry, those follicles, again, they open up and become unable more and more, the more you use the heat on it, they become more and more unable to keep in that moisture and nutrients that it needs to look healthy. Another thing is, if you notice that you don't really dye your hair that much, you don't really use straighteners or you don't really use hot curlers, it could be your diet. Possibly you're not getting enough nutrients and you're not getting enough moisture and water in your body. You don't really have to drink, like tons of water. It can be juice, it can be tea, there's tons of beverages that you drink. Just make sure that it's not caffeine. Caffeine does not count as daily intake of fluid because it actually dehydrates you. Another thing is salt. If you live by a beach and you go swimming, you go surfing or snorkeling, whatever the activity is, when your hair is exposed to salt, the salt starts eroding at it. So if you don't wash your hair with clarifying shampoo shortly after you've been to the beach, your hair will become brittle because the salt will just keep eating away at it. So you have to make sure that you wash it out. Though salt water it makes your hair wavy and it kind of gives it that beach wave. If your hair is salty for too long, it will make it very, very brittle and it will give it split ends and it'll just dry it out and dehydrate it. Another thing is you have to be careful in the summer not to expose your hair to too much sunlight. Wear a hat. Too much heat is also bad for your head anyway, so you should wear a hat in the summer because that is how you get a heat stroke, if you expose your head to too much sun. Alright, so now I'm going to cover some solutions. So some kind of short-term solutions are, you can gel the frizzies down, you can use shine serum. Shine serum is the best to use after using heat on your hair, like curler or curling iron or a straightener, or even hot curlers or blow drying out your hair. If you use Shine serum, the heat will already, like from the curling iron or the straightener, it'll kind of already close in those shingles on your hair, and the serum will just give it shine and make it look healthy. But that's kind of a short-term thing. It's not gonna make your hair better. Another short-term thing is you can use leave-in conditioners. Those are a little better than serum, but they do not make your hair as shiny as Shine serums do. Another thing you can do is coconut oil. Coconut oil will give you immediate results, and it will kind of heal your hair. It'll make those follicles kind of go back down and, make it look a little healthier. Another thing you can do is you can make homemade masks. And I'm going to post a link on the sidebar to an awesome website that gives you lots of different recipes, so you can kind of see what you have in the house and you can make your own homemade hair mask. Some long-term solutions are, you can eat better and make sure you drink lots more fluids. You can go as far as changing the shower head in your shower to one that actually purifies your water, because usually the water that we just get from the tap has a lot of chlorine in it, which also eats away at your hair and it makes your skin very dry. So if you change your shower head right after the first shower, you will notice that your hair and skin are a lot softer. Another thing that's kind of long-term is you can dye your hair less often. Kind of plan how you're gonna dye kind of ahead, so that you don't go from purple to yellow to, what's the opposite of yellow, to black to bleach blonde. Those kind of changes to your hair are very damaging. If you really like drastic changes, what you could do is you could get some extensions and dye those different colors, and then you can just clip them in and add a little punch of color to your hair. Another thing you can do is just get frequent trims at your local hairdressers. They're not that expensive. You can get a hair trim for like anywhere from $3 to $7, and if you're just going for a trim, you don't really need to go to like an expensive salon, because it's not dramatic, and you can get those done anywhere from like 3 weeks to, I think, 1.5 months is recommended, depending on the length of your hair. And those will kind of keep your hair in tip-top shape, just because when you get split ends, what happens is the split end keeps going up your hair. So if you don't cut it off, it'll split your hair and make it thinner all the way up through the whole hair strand. So this pretty much covers the basics. If there are any more questions, if there's anything I missed or anything I didn't answer, or if you'd like me to be more specific, please post a message or send me an email, and I can make a follow-up, or I can send you an email back or comment back, get another video. But yeah, I hope that covered at least the basics, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good day.